Tell us the story of how did you come to landscape architecture?
Well, it's a pretty long story, actually. I spent over 20 years in advertising. Yeah, really. I was a landscape, all right, I was a art director, and I always loved architecture. And I always loved horticulture, and I had no idea that there was a blend of these two things. And I went to Europe one time and started seeing these amazing gardens. I mean, I was like in my late 30s by the time I'd gotten to Europe.
I was just about to ask you, so where were you in your life?
So in my life, I'm like almost turning 40. And I see these amazing gardens, and I see the architecture surrounding it, and I thought, this is just amazing. And I started buying books about this. I happen to live in Princeton, New Jersey, close to the university, and they have a really interesting program there, community auditing program, where anyone can take classes for a really reasonable price. I had my own business at the time, so my hours were a little bit more flexible.
So you've already got a job, but you're
got a job, but now I'm not working in the corporate world anymore. I have my own business. I have a little bit more flexibility, and I start taking some architecture classes at Princeton. And I get really excited about this, but it's not exactly what I really want to do, because I don't think that there's enough, once you build it, sort of static, and my background's in art, and it's in sort of combining these things.
So your college degree was in art, but then you got into architecture.
So yes, so I started investigating architecture, then I went to the New York Botanic Garden, started taking classes there, and found out, there's this thing called landscape architecture.
So the Botanic Garden won you over. You were smitten by the flowers?
I was smitten by, well, I always loved the flowers. I always loved science. I'm a child of the 70s. Earth Day was my thing.
Right, me too.
Yes, I remember when the first Earth Day happened, and that was just, I was so excited about the whole thing. So when I found out that I didn't have to be shilling for a company that I didn't really believe in anymore, but I could be making gardens that I believed could make the world a better place, I thought, all right, I got to find a way to do this. And I kept taking classes here and there. Professor at Princeton said he'd support me if I tried to go in to get my degree.
That was my next question. So did you have a really inspirational professor or teacher?
I did. I had an amazing professor at Princeton who actually was talking about theory. It was architecture theory, and architectural theory actually does have a lot of back and forth between the landscape, what man did to leave his mark on the earth, and much of that is about the landscape, and the buildings come after that, or the buildings inform that, and vice versa. And then I heard about Laurie Olin. So one of my neighbors happens to be an architect for Michael Graves, and we were at a cocktail party, and he said...
So you actually did your homework. You were I want to go straight to the top.
I did. He said to me, if you want to be a landscape architect, you have to look up Laurie Olin. And I said, who's she? Terrible. And he said, it's a he. I looked up Laurie.
A common mistake.
And I was like blown away by this man's work. And of course, I knew the reputation of University of Pennsylvania. And I thought, what are the odds that I could get in at 43, 44 years old as a graduate student? And so I pulled my portfolio together, and it was a combination of work that I had done.
In your advertising world?
In the advertising world, work painting that I have done, because I've also painted. There was also my projects that I did at the Botanic Garden, the papers I wrote at Princeton for these classes that I audited, and I got accepted.
Well, you were right. That is a great story.
It was the best thing I ever did in my life. It changed my life. We don't get paid a whole lot in this business.
That's true.
You got to do it for love. But I think I couldn't be happier. I wake up every day loving what I do, and I truly believe that I can, naive as it might be, but you got to have some dreamers, right? Crazy, cockeyed dreamers, and I believe that I can make a difference.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us.
You're